I'll be a bit mischievous again because I like being mischievous.
Oh dear.
Probably noticed. What a great time to do rock, paper, scissors to decide. Look at Nathan's face. Oh my God, he's shaking his head at me. Come on, we did the rock, paper, scissors. Let me do it. Perfect.
That's a can of worms that you've just gone. Right then, welcome to episode 5 of The Final Whistle with Ant, Martin and Nathan. Gentlemen, hello once again. Welcome back.
Thanks, Ant. It's really good to be back and talking about this again.
As suggested, we are becoming increasingly popular with this vlog, and we have hit 10,000 overall views across all platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. We've only released 3 full episodes, and I think that's... Don't want to blow my own trumpet too much, but one of the things that comes back off this is that we are starting to get direct feedback from people who watch this. People have questions about what we're talking about. And one guy, I won't name names or anything like that. I'll keep it anonymous. But he dropped me a message last night about the part 3, episode 3, where we're talking about foul language on the pitch from players. And he had a question. I'll read it pretty much word for word. This young man says, just watching your video, what do you send off for language, and what do you caution for verbal dissent? So I replied to him, in the video, we say it depends on who the language is targeted at. He said he's referring to when it's at the referees. And then he asks, is it every time it's at the referee, do you send off? I'm confused by Nathan saying, take action. What does this mean exactly? So I clarified, it's any position on the stepped approach to game management. So for those of you that don't know, that's anything from a quiet word, stepped all the way up through to a stern word, a yellow card, a dismissal. So that's what I said. He said he knows an assessor. This year, this guy's going from 7 to 6. The assessor marked 7 to 6, and he did fitness training together. He was giving him advice. And he said last year, someone had a great game, but then lost marks due to a missed red card. He asked him what it was for. The assessor said offensive language. Then he said the referee told him that it was not heard, and the assessor said, you did hear it because you went up to the player and told him to calm down, but you didn't send him off. Gentlemen, your thoughts?
I think we all know when we hear raised voices and aggression and things like that, words get had on a football pitch between players towards officials, whatever it might be. Now, when you're refereeing a game, you're concentrating on whatever's happening in that particular moment, and your eyes may be not on it and things like that. So you might not see gestures, or you might not hear the specifics, which is what I'm imagining probably did happen in this situation. Is they've heard some sort of raised voices, aggression, whatever you might call it, words being had, but unfortunately, and they've wanted to deal with that as a referee, but unfortunately they haven't heard the full content of actually what was said in terms of the specific words. But obviously you want to try and maintain a good level of match control when you're getting observed, because it's one of the key points, isn't it? So being seen to tackle anything that could threaten your match control would be a good thing. And you'd think you were doing the right thing, but there's always that thing that you might trip up on if you have not actually heard the full context of the exchange, and then you can get punished for that. So I think that's something that maybe could have been considered by the observer. I think maybe, or the referee could have told the observer that maybe. I don't obviously know the full ins and outs of that situation, but that's what I'm kind of surmising, because it's happened to myself as well, where you hear something and you know something's happening, but you don't understand the full specifics of it.
well, it was me and Dave Brammer did a presentation on this to an RA, and it went on all night. We could probably talk about what offensive, insult, and abusive language is in the context of a game in relation to what did be heard or how you did it. And we had this big long list, and it went on from what time was it? Who was it at? How loud was it? Did just you hear it? Did everyone else hear it? Was the gestures in it? How long was left? And when you touched about in the intro, Anthony, when you said, Nathan said, deal with it. I think any sensible person will say that. And I'd say that right up to Neil Barry and people like that would say, just don't ignore it. Any good assessor will say, don't ignore it, deal with it. Because if you deal with it, was it his first swear words in that game? Was it his last? Was it just a burst of frustration? Because I'd say now, shoot me down for it. If it's a burst of frustration, you deal with it. Like you said, you said, Nate, deal with it. Maybe get the captain over, do that, that step to post like Anthony said. But the one thing that we need to understand is, which might have gone wrong here, is I don't believe there's anything called a quiet words in football. There's a practical advice for referees that we want to do on this blog. You have a public word and you have a quiet word. The only difference between a public word and a quiet word, in my opinion, and I've coached this, is that one is the game is still going on, and one, the game, you're going to stop the game and do a ceremonial bollocking. Now, a quiet word, if who's it for? Is it just for you and him? And then if it is for you and him, how would an assessor know you dealt with it? So therefore, if no one sees a quiet word, it's an absolute waste of time. So a public admonishment is, stop the game, come here, bring over the captain. And when you're talking to the situation, talk to the captain and say to the captain, because you haven't called him over to talk to him. Talk to the captain and say, if he doesn't shut up, he's going to get binned. And what I've found with coaching referees, just don't acknowledge him. He's had his chance. Say to the captain, he's going to go if he doesn't talk to him, and make sure the captain says something to him. There's nothing worse than calling the captain over to bollock a player. And then they both don't say anything to each other and they both run away. You're like, hang on a minute, what's the point in that? So escalations of quiet words, public admonishments, make sure everyone sees what a quiet word is. If the game's going, not like people do an advantage. You play an advantage and they always want you to say, point back, make a gesture to say, I've seen it, make a gesture to say, hey, I'm coming to you in a minute. Set up signals. It's exactly the same with managing and addressing situations. The quiet words are public admonishments. Now, if an assessor hasn't heard it, let's do the other way around. Let's say all of a sudden the referee pulls out a red card, sends someone off, and the assessor goes, "What was that for?" He said, "Oh, he called me knobhead. I didn't." Or words to that effect or stronger. Is the assessor going to go, "Oh, I'm not going to give any credit for that because I didn't hear it"?
True.
He's not easy. So this sort of type of assessing can be framed of what we call gotchas. There was a TV program at Noel Edmonds called Gotchas, where you wound someone up and give them a gotcha. If you've got to give a gotcha to a referee, he probably has a good game and he's going looking for something. But when they go for give gotchas in top ends, remember a while back we said about match control, application, decision maker. If these gotchas are in those big ends of the assessment, you're going to lose big marks. So whatever you do, look like you're doing it. If the assessor hasn't seen you do it, or has seen you do it and not deal with it enough, then you need to know how that affects the game as a general. If you're happy as a match official that you've controlled that situation and you've had no more trouble from that person, and none of the opponents are unhappy with how you dealt with it, job done as far as I'm concerned.
I've got one when it comes to opponents, and I'm fairly certain it was to do with opponents that I have a feeling that it was a Premier League referee. I can't remember quite who said it, but I have a feeling it was a Premier League referee. So I heard this being said once, and it was something like along the lines of when a situation's escalated, and one team's not happy and they want to see some sort of punishment or some sort of rebuke for the opposition about it, that there was a referee just saying to him, "Look, I'm just going to pretend I'm talking to you now. Are we going to go in for a pint after this game or whatever?" And then they have that quick exchange and then it goes. And to all intents and purposes, for everybody around who obviously wasn't involved in the conversation, it looks as if the referee's given him a telling, but actually the referee's just killed a bit of time and placated the opponents and potentially an observer. Although I don't know if that was the intention of that particular story, was to talk about observers. But I know that sometimes doing things like that to placate one team who feel that a player's maybe crossed the line, when in fact, they've just done something that was maybe, I think, was actually to do with an accidental incident, where they've seen an accidental thing. Sometimes you can land awkwardly and a foot can land on somebody or whatever it might be, and then the opposition, they want blood. So as a referee, you go in and you say, well, look, I'm going to give you this little talking to, and let's just pretend we're having a bit of an exchange about it. And you just say, oh, sorry, ref. And then we just crack on with it. And I think sometimes things like that can really, obviously I talked about match control before, can really enhance your match control, because people go, okay, players will go, okay, well, he's a referee. He's actually seen fit to take our side, even though he's not really taking their side. And he deals with things. So then that buys you a little bit of time later on in the game, I think, if you have a big incident.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that story. I'm not sure, like you say, who the ref is, but I've used that myself. Like you say, there's an incident on the field. Everyone has this expectation of a card, but as the referee, maybe you don't feel like it was worthy of a card. So you want to, you want to take the player over to one side and just deliver the expectation that you are having a word with that player. Even though everyone's expecting you to give them a bollocking, you can say, listen, I see what's happened. In my opinion, it's just a coming together. But for my match control, everyone's expecting, you're not obviously going to say these words to the player, but for my match control, everyone's expecting us to have a conversation at this point. Let's have a very obvious conversation. I retain some of my match control. You don't go away with a booking that I think you don't deserve. And the game carries on. But yeah, no, it's one of those ones, isn't it? Kind of managing the expectations of the players and, to a certain extent, the crowd and the benches as well.
Yeah, I've seen a lot about this recently, where and it all harks back to a presentation I saw from Chris Kavanagh, where he talked about delivering expectancy within games, and it was other things. It was things like everybody's expecting a goal kick. Now, you've seen a touch, but you're going to give that goal kick because it's what everybody's expecting. And if you deliver what is expected within a game, then you're going to retain a much higher level of match control. And that's not just from the perspective of an observer. That's from the perspective of the club officials, the spectators, the players, everybody who's there. And I saw a presentation recently, actually really, really good presentation on the Referees Association. And what they did is they had Ryan Atkin on, who was obviously well known as being an LGBTQ plus kind of referee, and one who can really support that and is a real role model for referees. But he talked in more general terms about his games, and one of the concepts that he was promoting was safe refereeing, and again, that was one of the things he touched upon. So I think that in many ways there are a lot of opportunities that you have within games to look after yourself and to make sure that you do the right things for the game, but for yourself and your own credibility and your own strength in terms of your authority in the game, because that's something that referees often talk about, that I hear, about stamping your authority on games and things like that. So I definitely think that doing things like that and looking after yourself in that way is really, really important.
Yeah, some purists will say that's manipulating it. You're not really pretending to do something. I'm all for it. I've gone as far as even coach players to say, refs to say to the player, do us a favour. They think I'm giving you a bollocking. Just tap my right shoulder with your left arm to thank me, and they're going to think I'll give you a really big bollocking, and you're going to run away happy.
Yeah.
So there's different escalations of you can, and he's lying on the floor with a broken leg and he taps your shoulder. There is situations to do it, and you need to be aware of that. I remember we said a while back about our referee's toolbox, and as you grow through 7 to 6, you have this toolbox, and you'll find, don't use them in every situation, but have them there as a tool to use whenever you feel you need it. Now, that goes right into body language, non-verbal communication, massive part of managing any event, particularly when you're out in the middle on your own. And you've got to show people what you're doing with your non-verbal communication. It's so important. If you hear someone, I remember on the line, ref come off, and he says, "Oh God, that number 8's getting on my tits. He's on my back. He's just constantly giving me, I'm gonna do him. And I said, I don't know what you're on about. I don't know what you're on about. He just looks like he's just talking to you. And that's a good example of it, because you're there, you're smelling the blood, you're in it, and he's been. But if it doesn't look so bad, don't overreact. Try to be aware of your surroundings as a referee. When you're out there in the middle and you've got someone, other people might not see it, other people might not hear it. That can work for you or against you. Whatever you do, don't overreact. Just don't overreact. Yeah. And the non-verbal communication is just so important. We did it. I'm not sure if it was. We did do that about that signal. We did that one, didn't we? When I talked about what does that mean, we said, when you do that signal, for those who are listening on radio, it's where you put your 2 fingers around each other to say the ball's moving. But when you do that signal, that means 3 different things in football. Could even mean 4. It means the ball was moving, take the free kick again. It means hurry up, keeper. You're taking too long, or a player, and we've got a substitute. So you got one signal that means 3 different things. So the non-verbal communication level of things is really important, but you've got to get it right. We talk about an open palm instead of a pointed finger at players. There's loads of little subtleties, but in managing any foul abusive language is another one. The finger to the mouth can be a bad thing in certain situations, but with the right player at the right time, a finger to your mouth and a very passive, look, just shush him in it, really works.
Yeah, that's one I use myself, the finger to the mouth thing. It's especially when one player is having a go at me. My tolerance, my skin is super thick. My tolerance is thick? No, my tolerance is high, my skin is thick. So before taking action that would lead to a card coming out, I will kind of allow them to vent to a certain extent. If they cross a certain line, like if they become offensive at me, at my person or something like that, then we go, yeah, straight for the book. But if they're just having a moan about not getting a free kick like they expected, and they're just venting at me, a finger on the lip shows, I'm not listening, crack on. And I find that the finger on the lip, whilst provocative, if used incorrectly, I think in the most cases I've used it is worked. But then again, I wouldn't recommend a new ref or a ref that didn't have my level of confidence, tolerance, or thick skin to kind of adopt that sort of match control or control of individuals.
Yeah, I agree, mate, because we can go far back as some non-verbal communication is sort of ebbs and flows. Some of them become trendy. Remember, everyone used to do the lobster, didn't they? The two-handed, he's yapping at me, and then that was frowned upon, and then it wasn't. Then there's the one lobster where you can warn someone. I think my team did it quite a lot, where when he called a player over to him, the captain would say something, he'd do the lobster to say, "It's all right, I'm just having a word. I don't need you. So, but that's a skill set that needs to be in your toolbox, absolutely. But as you say, and as you come through your career or your hobby, whatever way you want to frame what you're doing in the frame, these tools can be really useful. It's about being aware of how to address something and the options you've got. It isn't just one way suit all.
Yeah. If you are a ref that's never tried it before, I'd say give it a go. Maybe not in a high pressure, high stakes match, but try it out. If it goes tits up, well, you've tried it once and you'll never use it again, but you'll find that maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But don't be afraid to use the tools that are available to you for your match control. Because I think a lot of young referees or very inexperienced referees are genuinely worried about saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing, looking a certain way, especially if there are mentors, assessors, observers about, maybe not mentors so much, but definitely assessors and observers. You know, you need to develop your own personality and style and allow that to come out in your refereeing. And to do that, you do have to tread unfamiliar ground. And I'd just say, don't be afraid to do that.
I think you're quite right, Ant, in terms of trying things out and having that openness, because I think ultimately, if you look at it like a car, okay, I could drive a BMW, you could drive a Mercedes, Martin could drive a VW, okay? Now, we could all be driving manual cars, so we've all got, you know, clutch, brake, accelerator, we've got a gear stick, but, you know, you might have a 10-inch multimedia screen, I might have a 5-inch, Martin might have an 8-inch, okay? So we're all working from the same fundamental.
Sorry, Martin's reaction on that is like, upgrade.
I've been called mayonnaise whenever it's inch.
I didn't call you that. You know, we're all. Let's bring back the refereeing, lads. We're all working from the same sort of mechanical layout, so we could all drive each car, but we've all got slightly different features within the car, and you get slightly different features. And I think that it's what you bolt onto those mechanics as a referee that defines you as a referee and makes up your refereeing style. So I think that there's a number of tools and a number of different sized multimedia screens you can choose from to put on your car, but ultimately it's how you choose to sort of use the tools, because you know, no referee is going to have every single tool and is going to use every single tool in the book. It's about finding the ones that work for your style, for your manner, for your presence, for everything that goes with you. And I think that that's one of the big things. And once you're comfortable with yourself as a referee, and once you know what you're good at and what you're not so good at, and where your strengths lie and where they don't, and what you can do and what you can't do, I think that, you know, you're in a really good moment to sort of then find the trajectory to start climbing the levels, because you've got that little bit of confidence, which we talk about being such a key asset for referees, because you know your own ability and you know your own style and you know your own way inside out, which I always think is a crucial part of being a referee.
Yeah, it is, and it's like many situations in it. You know, sometimes you get criticised for overdoing things and underdoing things, and it's having that right balance of as everything you do. And I remember the PGMOL psychologist. What's his name? Nathan. Simon? Is it Simon?
Oh, it's Simon Breivik.
No, he's the fitness lad.
Was it not Liam
Slack?
Liam Slack, yeah.
Liam Slack. He did a presentation once with one of the referees academy, and he described how referees are on an island, like on an island on our Todd, within an ocean, with everything's going on around us. And I always thought that was like a good way of describing a referee. Well, you know, even when we're in a team of three, we're on our own on that pitch, on that other island, which is called the field of play. And I think, you know, once we have this kind of character to be able to believe in ourselves and have confidence that what we're doing is right, don't let someone put doubt in your mind. I think all of it just comes in. And even referees out there that are starting out and they might be listening to some of the stuff we talk about, if you're not comfortable with it, don't use these things, and don't feel like you're any less of a referee because you're not using them. Everything will come, and you'll develop your own ways of doing all the things that we've just talked about.
Yeah.
Segue into, I want to take this opportunity to say, recently, and I don't know why it's been highlighted recently, because she's been phenomenal all season, but Sian Massey.
What a match official actually is.
She's a machine. She's an absolute, like, Martin, you put on the ref support Twitter last night, I think it was. If you rearrange the letters that spell out Sian Massey, it can make up the phrase, "We don't need VAR anymore." She's that good. She's that reliable with offsides, and her reading of the game, her interpretation and application of laws, it's absolutely phenomenal. And it seems to be just recently. I want to say since the restart of the Project Restart in the Premier League, I've seen her trending on Twitter twice. and for the right reason, in that everyone's going, fucking hell, she's been on the Premier League for a long time, but only very recently is getting this sort of acknowledgement of how good she is. And I think fair fucking play to her. Like, she's been consistently doing it for a while, but the mainstream, that especially on Twitter, where a lot of things can be a bit, I'll say, toxic and negative, to see someone praised universally for doing a great job as a match official. If this somehow gets to her, that message, I think that from the three of us, no one can disagree with what I'm saying on this. It's just been brilliant and consistently brilliant for not just this season, but the past few seasons.
I think Chris Kamara came on, didn't he? He went, here. Because I said, I don't even know why wasn't this girl chosen to go the FIFA men's route? I know we were having a bit of a WhatsApp exchange, maybe, Nathan, about, they have this FIFA, when you're FIFA, when you look on the website, it just says male, female. It doesn't tell you what route you come through. And I just can't quite get my head around that. She's done the Champions League final, women's final. Yeah. She's done the women's FA Cup final. I think she was fourth division along the line.
Yeah.
She's never done anything like that in the men's game. So when this is where it sits with me, and it always has. This is why I was so, praiseworthy of it, because she's just top thrower. I think it's on about 800 likes, and people are jumping on and saying, "Oh my God!" One lad said, "I hate seeing her at the Arsenal because I know she's going to get everything right. She's going to get away with anything." That was what an ultimate compliment. That is. But when you have a merit list like you do in the Premier League, and don't forget the Premier League, the PGMOL don't choose FIFA officials. That's down to the referees committee and my good friend David Ellery. They choose it. Now, when they have a merit list, you're telling me Sian Massey hasn't been near the top of that merit list to be nominated for men's FIFA? I would stick my house on it. That's over the period of time, whatever time, how many years she's been on. She's finished above men, who's gone the men's route. She's on the women's game. And I just can't quite square that off. I just don't understand why. Does European football and world football want the best officials? Yes. Is it absolutely irrelevant whether that is a man or a woman? It's irrelevant. You just put the best one on. Yeah. And I think UEFA, FIFA, and the FA, I praised David Ellery last time, didn't I? Say what a wonderful decision it was with the FA Cup. Great, fair play, pat on the back. But something's not right here. Something's not right here. That girl should be doing the top flight games in men's football in Europe. I'm not undervaluing the women's game at all. Brilliant, get better officials there. They deserve good officials too. But let's have one merit list and let's stick someone like Sian Massey on, top games in the UEFA Champions League and in the World Cups. She's been to a Women's World Cup as well, as but not to the men's. I just can't quite get my head around when they had that decision to say, right, who's going to be on FIFA today? This year's FIFA? Did you do it at Christmas? Yes. Where was it? Oh, yes, Sean's third, but we're not going to put her on the men's game because she's a woman. Where would you get away with that? In what level of... And then you have Bibiana Steinhaus absolutely pulling up trees on the Bundesliga. One of the best referees. We've got women doing top-class men's game now and again, popping in, popping out. No, let's get them in there all the time. Don't let it be unusual to have a woman doing Champions League games in the middle and on the line. End of story.
I think that when you look at her in particular, Sian Massey. I agree. Firstly, I just want to say I agree with a lot of what you said there, Martin. I think that it was Kevin Friend. Kevin Friend did the cup final last year, didn't he?
Yes.
And so if you look at Kevin Friend and you look at Sian Massey, they both came onto the list around the same time for the Premier League, about 10 years. And I think that what you're seeing now is them both, like a fine wine, really starting to mature really well and really come into the peak. And I think that Sian is in a team more often than not with Daniel Cook and Chris Kavanagh, and that's who she did her first men's European game in the Europa League. I think it was in Austria. I think it was Salzburg, Europa League earlier this season.
This season,
and
that's very, very recently been doing that, mate.
Yeah, and so and I think that Sorry, Martin.
How long's she been on the FIFA list? 91.
10 years since women's.
When she got nominated onto the FIFA list.
Yeah.
When you look at the FIFA list, let me have a look at it, because I put a thing on last night.
Yeah.
There was a picture, and next to it on the FIFA.com, it says what year she comes on, doesn't it?
Yeah.
On the list. So
I think it was 2009, wasn't it?
Let me just have a look, mate. Just 2 seconds. Let me get it up. Sian Massey, 2009.
Yeah.
So you're right, just over 10 years, he's been on that list. Let's give a benefit out to those who choose.
Yeah.
So it's got to be some of the best assistant referee for at least 5 years.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
In the top performing. So
yeah,
5 years they've had to get here to the men's game regularly.
I think that what I think about the way that the positioned Sian is, I think that she started her career. I think she did a few games with Howard Webb and people like that, and I think that she's been excellent for them right at the beginning of her career. And now she comes and works with Daniel Cook and Chris Kavanagh, who have only really been on in the last 3 or 4 years on the Premier League. And so she's bringing an awful lot of experience working with a lot of guys, probably I'm guessing now, but I would say the likes of Chris Foy and people like that who are not actually on the list anymore. But she had the experience of running the line to some very, very experienced referees in her early career as an assistant in the Premier League. And now she's the sort of most experienced member of the team when she works with her regular team. And she brings a lot of that experience. And as I say, she's maturing because of what she's learned, not just from Chris and from Daniel, but from probably people like Darren Kahn and obviously Andy Garrett, who's just retiring. And, there was a lot of really long-serving assistants before that, the likes of Mike Malarkey and people like that, who I presume she worked with, because if she worked with Howard Webb, she must have worked with some of these other guys as well.
He votes for the PGM or well for assistant referee, isn't he? Top world-class choice. Now, interestingly, Dan Cook only got on the FIFA list in 2019. So she's got 10 years more FIFA experience than him.
Yeah.
So I think that he learns from here. They will learn from here. It's just that I just think that this is what I think it's almost an unanswered question. So that was the tweet that's got so much traction. Why is she not a regular men's UEFA and FIFA official? Why is she? Instead of saying, "Oh, isn't it wonderful? Sean's done her first game at PSV Eindhoven or in some Europa League." No. We should be moaning because she hasn't got one.
Yeah.
She's a world-class top board official that we delivered from this country. Another one that, in my opinion, isn't getting used to the full potential on the world's game, men's game. Again, I'm not slagging off women's football because I think it's amazing. I think where that's going is just brilliant. But at the moment, and before women's football got to where it was now, it was nowhere near the right level for a Premier League assistant to be doing those games. Let's just be brutally honest about it. It's developed over the last, say, 3 or 4 years, rightly so. Those years, I feel, have been wasted. She should be given her skills at the top end of the Champions League and Europa League games. No question about it. And I don't know why anyone has never really flashed that up and said, why aren't we using Sian on our top level UEFA and Champions League FIFA games?
Here's a question for you then, Martin. If she was working, because obviously we know that Michael Oliver's got his team and they work regularly together domestically and internationally, and the same for Anthony Taylor. But if she was in one of their teams, would that have come sooner? Because I look at it and I think that potentially that she might need to move teams in order to be able to access these, because Anthony and Michael are elite. They're elite within the FIFA categories. And I think for her, Chris has time to develop. He's very young, as we said, and he can become elite. But obviously that takes time. And by the time that happens, Sian might be a bit further down the line in terms of her career and thinking more towards the end of her career. Whereas now we've got her at our peak. should we move her? Should we move teams? Should we put her in a team where she can work with an elite, or she can work with at least a sort of, I don't recall what the second category is called within FIFA list, but even if she can work at a level where she can do some games within the Champions League, because I'm not sort of seeking to defend anybody here, but I do think that genuinely the reason why she's not done as many international games and not done as many UEFA competition, particularly Champions League competition, is because, I know we're talking about her doing her first game, but I think it's one of Chris's first games as well. I don't think he's done more than 3 or 4 in competition. So I think that
probably being put with Chris.
Yeah,
I would say she's been put with Chris as a positive, because she's so greatly experienced.
Yeah,
you probably needs her.
Oh yeah,
because she'll know everyone at the grounds, all the people who you meet at the grounds.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about what's on the field with her, which she always excels, always has.
Yeah.
Any of the grief she's had has been from other people in the media. Nothing on the game, nothing off the game, no scandal. Her husband's is also a good referee coming through the ranks. Now, I don't think we should judge our assistant referees on who they referee with. I think it's absolutely irrelevant whether you're doing it with an elite referee or someone like Cav who's just coming through. I just think look at the talents and give it the games. I'm all for having teams and because that creates consistency, trust, confidence. And they have a good feeling about you, like as a ref you would have about them. But I think she's proved their point. She proved their point years ago, and she should have done the FA Cup by now. She should have. You remember, you probably won't have money to sort of if you were alive when this happened, Ant. But Wendy Toms referees, I think it was called the Milk Cup final once. And
it's the Carabao Cup now.
Well, Carabao Cup or whatever it's called now. It's Milk Cup and Rumbelows Cup and God knows what cup.
Coca-Cola Cup at one point.
Coca-Cola Cup. Oh, there's a good question for you. Well, Wendy Toms, another world class, absolute world class female match official. Well, just match official. Ignore the female, just a world class match official. I think it was Alan Wilkie, I think it was, who was on that game. He refereed the game where Cantona jumped into the crowd. Which, funny enough, he called his book, didn't he, one night at the Palace? Because that when Cantona jumped into the crowd, it was because the Palace thing.
Yeah.
Alan's another one from my area, Martin. Alan's another one from the North East. Yeah,
he does. I think he does all the moderating for the observers, doesn't he? So going back, he got injured in the Milk Cup final, and there was a dilemma there because I think she was the senior official. I think she was panel then. For those who don't know what panel was, it's the conference. I keep calling it conference. National League Premier Standard Referee, and she didn't go on. It was a bit of a. Again, anyone out there listening, please write in. Go to Anthony, not me. I'm too busy. No, we're all busy. Write in and tell us if we're right. But I'm pretty sure at the time, Alan Wilkie go down injured. I think it was a calf. She was on the line. She was a senior official, but she didn't go in the middle. I think the hierarchy come down from the soft seats in Wembley and had a discussion, and she didn't go in the middle. I think maybe we should look at that before our next vlog.
Yeah, that's worth having a little dig.
It is, have a look at that, because the point I'm making is we've had world-class female match officials for ages. Janie Frampton, who's the chair of Ref Support UK. I think she was the second one to get to that level of football. Top draw match officials. So just don't know why. And football stakeholders, teams, players, managers, they should be shouting this as well. It's irrelevant if you're a woman or not. Just have the best officials on the best games. End of story.
I totally agree.
Now that point has been made, I'll keep this as a separate segment, but halfway through that, Martin's microphone fell off. Now, but if you're watching this, you'll have seen it, and we had a little giggle. But if you're listening to this on the podcast, you'll be like, "What are they laughing about? They're laughing about Sian Massey?" Absolutely not. We're like 3 immature school kids, and Martin had a little technical difficulty, and
then I got a phone call. I've got an iPhone and a bloody Mac Air thingy, and the line's up. So I thought I was being professional and put the phone on silence, not realising that's picked up to my laptop, innit? Or whatever these MacBook things are called.
Yeah.
But so sorry about that.
We all had a little giggle there, but it was at Martin. It was at Martin,
and not at Sian.
And not at Sian.
We're all very, very big fans of.
We are, and but rightly so. And it's good to praise where it's due. Fair play to her. What was the other thing? There was a third kind of hot topic that we were going to talk about.
We're going to talk about the COVID advice that we've been waiting
Oh,
for.
yeah, shit, that was
really
it.
COVID was the same as the other stuff.
Yeah.
But
So if you want, because we get a few international viewers and listeners of this as well, some of whom will have already gone back to grassroots football, others aren't expecting to go back to October, November time. But here in the UK, it's friendly matches at grassroots are due to start from the 1st of August, which is in 2 days' time at the point that we're recording this. As of yet, as a referee, I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. There's been nothing coming my way with regards to pre-match, during the match, post-match, correspondence. I've had nothing. Gentlemen, have you heard anything?
Well, I think Mr. Cassidy's heard a lot of things.
We got sent the documents, FA documents, that we put on a web link on our website, refsupport.co.uk, and we put up there the guidance for it, put a link out. We just thought, we'll help everyone because someone at the FA said, it'll only be sent to registered referees, which is a bit absolutely bizarre because some referees who want to continue the season might not have registered for whatever reason. Essential workers might not be able to afford it, whatever. Should have been sent to everyone. Wound me up a little bit. So when I got in, I put it on our website. I put the link out. Now, it's put on Facebook, caused a bit of commotion to some county FAs because we've put it out on social media before the FA have, before county FAs have, before the RA have, which, in my opinion, says more about them than me, if I'm really, really honest. Well, there is things like in here that says, your pre-match should be outdoors. Your pre-match, you're outdoors. That sounds great, doesn't it? Unless it's absolutely tipping us down.
Yeah, British summertime.
Arriving in your mask kit, great. Even though changing rooms aren't open, so go on soap and wet. Great, thanks for that. It's good. And let's be honest, listen, I know we're taking a mick a bit here, but let's be really honest. The FA are in a difficult position, aren't they?
Of course.
There's a couple that have been furloughed, but not the people that deal with this in the referees department. I think it's Chris Kay and Adam Kenton who does the appointments. I think they've been furloughed, and hopefully they get the jobs back because they're two good people. The people who deal with this haven't been furloughed. And remember, the FA is one organisation. They are split in departments, for obviously productivity, etc. But when someone speaks in the FA, they speak for all stakeholders. They don't say, all right, we're only going to speak for players and clubs, and we'll talk about referees later as an organisation. You talk about all stakeholders. When they released that information, 10 days ago, maybe longer? 10 days ago, saying, here's the COVID advice for stakeholders. Nothing specific for referees. Absolutely nothing. The referees department come in, who sometimes look like they're on an organisation on their own, and said, we'll release it in due course. So they put a holding statement up. We started flashing up. Hang on, it's been a week now. What's going on? Another holding statement come up. And then the RA joined in with another holding statement saying, we support the FA's holding statement by making a holding statement here and stuff. Nothing. And even when it's come out now, it is specific to referees and fair play to them. It's a difficult document. But a lot of that could have been posted as referees when the other stuff got posted and released. I don't understand. Even what's in it now, Pacific referee stuff. That could have been released weeks ago. Why did he make referees wait to the day after tomorrow? They're taking games now, appointments for friendlies, pre-season games. The day after tomorrow, straight away, you can look at loads of questions there. I put a tweet out saying if they release this information at 5 o'clock on a Friday, like Trump does, like Boris does, so no one can get back and answer them, I will ask for them to resign at the top of the referees department, because that would be disgraceful. 2 hours after it, we got hold of this document. So read into that whatever you want. However, in this document, there isn't things like when you've got club assistant referees and they've got the flag, and everyone who's listening to this or watching this, how many times a game does the referee change the line-out? Because the sub's doing it or something like that, and they come on and have we got to sterilise the flag every time? Have we got to wear gloves for the subs who are doing the line-out? Have we got to wash the ball? Have we got to make sure that they do everything? And then the conclusion of the documents at the end of it says, it was in big bold letters. Let me just flash it up, guys. And it says something on the lines is, don't do anything about it. Just report it to the FA. Something. Referees are not responsible for any breaches of COVID guidelines on match day, it says. but it must be reported to the FA by the referee in the post-match MOAS report. Now, the friendly's on MOAS.
At a certain no.
They're just not. They're not. And then also, which just imagine if I was a referee and I'm stuck in that position, you've got clubs struggling absolutely on the bones of their ass, and you're going to say to a referee, report them because he didn't watch the ball. They didn't have this. Really throw that on the referee's lap. Yeah, thanks for that, mate.
Yeah,
that's cool. With 2 days before the game, that's the sort of thing I'm miffed with. But I've got all the sympathy in the world for the guys at the FA referees departments for the difficulties for the whole football game and everyone, Joe Public, essential workers. It's terrible. But don't tell me this couldn't be released a week ago, so we could then clarify things like we've just mentioned.
No, absolutely. The FA is a national body, right? It's a national response. The guidelines are not going to be different in Merseyside than they are in Devon or in Newcastle or wherever. The guidelines for all grassroots football in England are going to be the same. So yeah, what I've been told and what a lot of referees have been told is your RDO or your local county FA will be in touch with the guidelines. And why is it down to them? Like I said, what specifically can they say or do that would be different to what the FA would do? The FA's got all of our details, all of our emails, our fan numbers or whatever, and they could just blanket email. Here it is, and 2 days before the restart of grassroots football is what is, like you said. It doesn't leave it open for scrutiny. It doesn't leave it open for the what ifs. What if this happens? What do I do? And it is almost like they've very belatedly come out with this guidelines. Okay, yeah, it's going to be picked apart by everyone, all the stakeholders in the game. But they pushed it onto the RDOs and said, you know what? If anything comes back from anyone, that's your problem now. The FA have come up with these guidelines. But they're not the ones that are going to be dealing with the questions that come back. That's going to be done down on a more local level.
Referees should wear a face mask upon arrival at the ground and at all times until they start their warm-up.
So we as referees could get reported as well. If we don't follow this, we could get dobbed in by the clubs.
It says here referees should clean assistant referee flags before and after use. So not during the game if you swap it then. Not really? Are you sure about that? If they change assistant referees? You tell me they wouldn't have thought about that. That's probably a difficult one to answer. That's why it's not in there. But again, we got to be sympathetic towards them. But there's a few things that we could go through here that it isn't the fact that they might have got it wrong or it could have been a bit more informative. It's the fact that they haven't given referees time to question it. That's the point. As far as I'm aware, they still haven't released it publicly. It's only out because we've released it.
Yeah.
And it's just not right. It's just not good enough. It just isn't good enough. I'm sick and tired, absolutely sick and tired. If the referees come in last in football, first to blame, last to think of. Organise a load of friendlies. By the way, let's get everything sorted out. Oh, God, so have you done a ref yet? Come on, there's football clubs out there that were brilliant and look after referees.
Yeah.
And we would expect the odd club not to think of a referee, but to think of a referee last. But not our governing body, not the referees departments, not the FA to think, the last thing we're going to think of, let's sort out some specific advice for referees. Should have all come out at the same time. We're all one team.
Yeah.
Sin bins is in there. There's no change to sin bins. Okay.
I think that I agree with you about questioning some things, and I think that it's a common sense approach that if you question some things, you can then say, okay, well, we'll actually add that because that's a really good point that's coming through. We maybe, like we say, obviously it's very difficult. We've not had to do this before. We've not had to play grassroots football with this threat before. It's a totally new thing. So, okay, we need to accept that there's going to be some challenges and there's going to be things that we don't think of because you only realise them by doing. and you can feedback, this is a problem that we're experiencing, so we can change the guidelines to kind of factor that in. But I think that the way I look at it, and obviously, you guys understand this from my point of view, and my concern is there'll be an awful lot of match officials out there. There's I believe that there was 28,000 registered match officials at the end of last season, and a good number of them will be involved with, obviously, living with people who have had to shield throughout this process, who are at extra risk. Some of them will have maybe some things that they're a little bit unsure about themselves, that they've always been a little bit cautious throughout this time, because they might have had asthma when they were younger, but not recently, but still maybe think, I might be a little bit more vulnerable. And I think that what I think about, and certainly, like I said, my concern is there'll be a lot of referees who are quite anxious about going back to football, but obviously love it, and obviously want to get back involved, and obviously want to get fit and ready, for the season to begin, so that they can be an active participant within the season, because pre-season is just as important for referees as it is for players and everybody else. We need to get games, particularly after what we've just gone through, not refereeing a game. I think my last game was the 9th of March. So, not refereeing for that period of time, it's absolutely true that we need to get back in the feel of it. And obviously to appreciate, as we'll have to do every summer, which is difficult as it is, appreciating law changes that have come in and getting used to operating with law changes. Just so many things that happen that we need to be a part of and we need to understand. But what I care about and what I worry for is that the number of referees who have got a lot of anxiety about this. There'll be a lot of referees who are quite blasé and quite, fit, healthy guys, never really had many health problems, and they're looking forward to getting back. And that's great, and that's fine, that's wonderful. But there will be some referees who, like I said, have got some things that go on around them or within themselves, and there'll be a real nervousness. And I do think that, I think the guidance that the FA released in February about mental health and things like that means that, in my opinion, the FA are on the ball with it, and there's particular people who are referenced in that document who, RDOs I'm talking about here, who I know that if I lived in those counties, that they'd be spot on with me, because I know that they've experienced things like that themselves, and they totally understand it, and they've been absolutely wonderful. And through my job with the third team, I've worked with some really wonderful RDOs who care passionately about mental health and the well-being of their referees, and have had to deal with some incredibly difficult stuff, by the way, from their referees, things that go way beyond football, that things that they're involved in life and death ultimately. So I think that we know the importance of RDOs and things like that. So I think that more than anything, this delay, unfortunately, I know that they want to get it right and they want it to be perfect, but clearly that document has been produced for a short period of time now, so that it could have been maybe released a little bit earlier. And I just think it's really, really important that, that we can answer the questions for those who've got worries about the health and other real concerns that have been bugging them, to be quite honest with you, ever since the announcement that friendlies could commence from the 1st of August was made.
Yeah, fair point, mate. And I think it does cause anxiety. We've had loads of people on. We had lots of private messages saying, look, I'm a bit worried about, turning up dressed for the game, and then going home wet, and, all those sorts of things. The thing that we must remember, the stakeholders of football, all the footballing family, is that one man's problem might be another man's joke. That doesn't make it any less. Some people have genuine concerns that people might laugh at. You can go back to swearing. You can do a currency exchange on swearing. Some accountants will say never heard a swear word in their life. Bricklayers will hear it every comment. With this one, some people can be genuine anxious about not being informed. People will worry about that. That will keep them up at night because they want to do a professional job. They don't want to break any form of guidelines, be it FA guidelines, COVID, government guidelines. It's a genuine concern. And we got massive sympathy for those in the referees department, absolutely 100% in the situation they must be in now with their own mental health, because they're the ones issuing this out. Their name's going to stick to it. Yeah. I just think, I'm not sure it's good enough to have it out Here we are now on the 30th of July, and games are starting on the 1st of August.
Yeah.
That's just not, I'm just sorry, that's just not good enough.
Yeah.
Too late. Too late.
It's sad, and it's sad. And people say it's, we probably do the same with the Hackosaurus and them lot, where they're always slagging off the PGMOL or whatever. I don't want to do that. That's why we like to balance this. We said about David Ellie was great with the Anthony Taylor stuff, and there's some wonderful stuff that the FA does, absolutely 100%. But personally, I'm getting sick and tired of referees being the last ones to think of in football. And I never expected it to come from the referees department of our governing body at Wembley Stadium.
Yeah. There's literally nothing else. It just does feel like a big letdown. I've said before, we love the game as much as any player, as much as any fan, as much as anyone, any stakeholder in the game. But it does feel that we, to a certain extent, aren't loved back. And it just sucks sometimes. The expectation is you're a referee, you're not there to be liked, you're there to do a job. Fine, cool. We know that, we accept that. But it's almost as if that base level of support is just kind of, it's not even eroded away. It's just someone's gone, where is it? Where is it?
Well, if you do ask, you get the impression that, how very dare you?
Yeah.
How very dare you ask me that question?
Yeah.
It might be right to ask the question. You might ask, how very dare you ask me? I need to take a little bit with Nathan's points. There is some amazing RDOs out there. I cannot agree with you more.
Yeah.
Top draw. I talk to them. Some of them, don't want other people to know that they talk to us. Which again, we're happy with that. We're absolutely happy with that. As long as we help, we don't care who gets the credit or anything. But there's some RDOs out there that all they seem to think about is themselves and their career, and they won't put their head above the parapet for anybody.
Yeah.
Any referees, anything. That's their choice. But don't throw the victim card in when we come at you. When we've had people saying, you haven't contacted us through this. You haven't, why did I hear from Ref Support UK about the government guidelines? And we released it on Thursday. When you got told on Monday in an RDO meeting, the FA had this meeting, they all said, we got a big meeting, a big Zoom meeting, whatever it is. We're all going to talk about it on Monday and release it. Why did we release it? Why did we think it was okay? And at this moment, here we are at 3:10 on Thursday afternoon, and there's county FAs, I've just looked on Twitter, haven't released it, haven't done it. Some might be furloughs, whatever. But if this is important enough and referees are important enough, that would have been released by every single county FA. A bit like they did when he defended the FA and the vote to no confidence. Big cohesive approach to that, but it hasn't been to this. And as you can see, I'm really cheesed off about it.
I'd be interested to see their side of the story, though, Martin. I must say that there must be some reason why they having maybe no confidence, but they have some questions about why about the
reason, Nate? Why do you think there'd be a reason? What to me, this is what I believe it. Shoot me down if you want. It's a power struggle that happens all the bleeding time. It happens with, why is the FA referees department always seem to look like they do things on their own? They're always doing things on their own. Even right back to how the Premier League's been created, the PGMOL. If you look at the FIFA Articles Association of FIFA, we should not have a PGMOL. It's technically against the Articles of Association of FIFA. We shouldn't have it. The national governing body, the FA, should run all our top game, all our top competition. That's so. Please don't ever expect normality, as far as I'm concerned, from some of the people at the referees departments of the FA. I would go back to, FIFA, choosing FIFA. We talked about that earlier. They choose the FIFA officials from a competition that they don't run.
Well, look, what your view is on the PGMOL is your view, and
well, I've got no problem with the PGMOL. Mike Riley's a top draw lad. Probably Keith Hackett is probably putting his ear out now. He's listening to this. He's 10 times what Hackett was. His team's quality, Mike Riley, no problem with the boys there, absolutely not, and the ladies, no problems at all. I just think this connect between the FA, how they do things. Just seems this. Remember right now, our first post, and I'm not having a go with you, mate. I'm just haven't told the other side of the story.
No, I totally get that.
About the animal farm thing.
Yeah.
Animal farm. Just always remember what anyone out there who wants to know what goes on in football, really wants a good look at the referee in Wales, read George Orwell's Animal Farm and see if you recognise any characters in Animal Farm that you could put a picture in the referee in Wales. Thank you very much.
Okay, man.
There we go. Sorry, I've moaned a lot today. I just apologise to everyone.
I think there will be a legitimate reason, though, what it is. But I think that where I will obviously agree with you quite rightly is that there's a lot of people who will be very anxious, and I think that for the sake of them, it should have probably come a little bit sooner. And but I don't know what their lookout is, and but I do think that, again, I know some wonderful people at the FA, as I'm sure you do as well, Martin, that will maybe have been fielding these questions from referees that they know and wanting to give guidance, but obviously felt unable to because they were waiting for the official document. And I think that for those people, if it comes across the way that you've obviously described, where they feel like they're jettisoned from the main body of the FA, then I think that's not at all good for them.
No, it's not. That's how I genuinely feel. I've heard people say it. I've heard RDOs say it. The FA just don't listen to us. They say they listen to them. They say all this. They say all that. There's, people come on our page and say we're having this big meeting with the FA. Big meeting. It's always a big meeting. It's never a meeting. It's always a big meeting. And they're having all the RDOs there, all talking. We'll feed it all back to referees. And there we are Thursday, and they haven't done it. They haven't done it. It's this sort of, as if someone's scared. In my opinion, not the charity's opinion, my opinion, Matt and Cassidy's opinion, is that too many people are scared of consequences or might come back from the FA. That's what I genuinely feel. I've heard Clattenburg say it. I've heard other referees say it. That this sort of do as you're told when we tell you to do it exists too much in the refereeing world. And that needs to change. So these good people who Nate, and I know Nate, and Ant, these RDOs and loads of others, they need to have a stronger voice than the ones who are trying to shut them up. And when that changes, all football will win. There's some wonderful county FAs out there, wonderful strong county FAs. And I just wish they would stand up a bit more to those at PO Box 1966 and give them a bit of a shakedown.
You've got to look at the way it's kind of on a business level. If we look at it like this, you've got all these 28,500 referees registered in England, all self-employed. Now, if you were self-employed, you contracted yourself out as a plumber, and you had really bad experience with the people that had hired you, you wouldn't want to work with those people again, in the sense that you required information for the job so that you could properly disseminate it, out amongst your colleagues, and you could really drill down into what it all means for you to do your job. If that didn't come 2 days before the job you were meant to do, and it needed more time than 2 days, for a lot of people, it's not even come out yet. So if you're waiting in a certain area where you still don't have that document, it could be less than 24 hours. If it comes out tomorrow for certain areas, whatever. As a business, you would just, because there's nowhere else to ply your trade as a referee, you're kind of stuck in the system. Maybe there's some sort of union answer there, As a group of 28,000 individual referees, I'd say, yeah, sure, you're fucking powerless. If you shit on, you're just one of 28,000, There's 28,000 other referees that they could call upon to referee games that you could do. But let's think about it. If you did stand up, and there are referees, there are characters in the game who are referees that that they will put their head above the parapet. They will question everything. They'll be very vocal in big meetings, and they're always shouted down, even if their points are solid, if they're making solid points, if they're critical in any way, shape or form, they'll be shot down, they'll be marginalised, and they'll be pushed out. I think it's fair to say that the three of us, I'm not going to speak for you guys, but I've seen evidence of that happening in the various counties that I've refereed in, and I'm sure people listening can attest to that sort of behaviour as well. What is the answer to it?
I've never been.
I've seen it. Do you remember the strike at Ryan Hampson? And when that got really big, there was a county FA, I won't say which one it was, stood up at a referees meeting and said, if any of yous go on strike, you won't be registered referees next year. That's the sort of behaviour that is acceptable. When you hear David Ellery saying no beards, no beer bellies, no tattoo, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are saying that? There's a sort of mentality why I feel some RDOs won't stand up, even though they know they want to do it. Yeah. And they're all good people. I'd say all the RDOs I know, and I know an awful lot of them, I reckon there's 4 or 5, I think, nah, you're not in that job for the right reasons. And I think nearly all the others are genuine referee people, genuinely want to help, but they're just a little bit scared to really throw out the proper help that they want to give, because maybe someone upstairs doesn't want that to happen. And that's just sad. It's just sad.
It is.
And I'm not just guessing, I'm just making this up. I'm going from comments we've got. And if someone wants to push me, I can prove it. I've got the messages, I've got emails, I've got loads of stuff. I even had one RDO, right, who sent me loads of WhatsApps in private. And then I went back to, and it was all great. He was perfect, and I really, really helped him. No problems at all. And if he's listening, I want him to know that I found this out. That he then deleted all the WhatsApp messages on it, because maybe he was a bit concerned that
come back to bite him.
Which I understand. I'm not going to have a go at him, but I understand that mentality, because people will genuinely. We've seen it, all three of us, and Nathan you could probably let us know about the mental health challenges on this. That people will say things non-publicly, either one-to-one or on social media, that we'll never in a million years say publicly. I called some people. I had this at the FA. We used to have meetings outside before we went into our coaches' meeting. And I hope some of these coaches are listening. And we'd be at the coffee machine, and they'll be going, "Hey, Scouts, we need to tell Neil Barry this. Hey, Scouts, we need to tell Neil Barry this. And David Ellery that. And Peter Ellsworth, we're going to stand up and tell them." You go in that meeting. Who was the only knobhead that said anything? Me. Who was the only one that would go, "Hang on a minute"? Me. These coffee machine warriors, they're the ones that are the problem as well.
Yeah.
They'll all stand there and say, "We're going to change the world." And when they get in front of a chance to change the world, they go, "Oh, no thanks." And whoever you are listening to this, and shame on you. Shame on you.
Well, I don't know any of the people that you know. I don't know those people, and I don't. Obviously, the situations that Ant described there, I wasn't present at them, and I don't really have. I've not been a member of a committee or anything, so I haven't really got anything to say on that. But what I will say is that what I feel about it is that. And this is not just football. This is not just the FA. This is pretty much every institution in the world, in every industry in the world. You've got people who maybe are suffering with mental health challenges, that are feeling under pressure, that are feeling that they can't cope with the demands of the role, but don't feel that they can say anything because they have aspirations of more, and they want to be, they're a level 4 that wants to be a level 3. They're whatever they are, and they feel that by letting anybody know that they've damaged their possibility of promotion, and I think that's incredibly sad. And thankfully, I know that in the majority of I'm going to say the majority of the clients we've had with the third team, the County Football Association, that's not the case, because the RDO wouldn't work with us if that was the case, because they wouldn't value mental health and things like that, and they wouldn't value resilience and mental toughness and all the things that my workshops are all about, because they would see it as a deficiency and a weakness. So I'm lucky, but I know that people who've not wanted to have any involvement with the third team, I can only presume that it comes from where they've specifically not said a reason. I've had other people that said, "Oh, we're working with other people," and that's fine, not a problem. I'm glad that they're dealing with the problem. more than anything, and that they're supporting their referees. Where they just said no and things like that makes me think that there's some sort of insecurity about the whole thing, and there's an unease about it, and that's a real shame, because I've had certain counties where they've just not literally put the phone down, but they've tried to shoo you off, and my personal feeling is because they either don't see it as an issue, or they don't want to tackle the issue, or don't want to accept that there is a problem when it comes to some of the problems with the referees' mental well-being.
I want to say that. Oh, go on. I'll just say that by keeping the door closed to you is not allowing the door to open for any potential criticism of them. And if they are, like you say, insecure, or they are aware of what they're doing, not wrong, but what could be done better, but they're not doing just because it would be extra effort or for whatever. It's kind of a protectionist kind of behavior of what they're doing. It's it really you wouldn't have seen it, because Nathan, you're going to the places who welcome you in, open arms, do your workshops, all that sort of stuff, and it saddens me that there are county FAs out there that say not we go with someone else. The ones that say no, we're just not interested. We're not asked. We're not asked about the mental well-being of people under our jurisdiction. That can you imagine? It saddens me that there are the people in the positions that would be able to affect good change for a lot of people that are just like, nah, can't be asked. Can't be asked.
No, I think that's fair. I think it's fair and unfair a little bit, because I don't think anyone genuinely doesn't want to help someone's mental health. Or I can see why you think that's so, because like Nathan says, it just gets binned. Somehow I'm too busy for that. What I've seen it, and it happened when we started Ref Support, some RDOs panicked. And I know this for a fact. We've said it at meetings, and the friendly RDOs have told me they thought we were after their job. They thought Ref Support were created to do their jobs for them. Because let's be honest, let's just be dead straight. Some of them, they just want to get registration in. They just want to get the numbers up.
Yeah.
I want to get them promotions and tick the boxes. When it comes to real support, they haven't got the budget to do it. So when you have someone come along like Nathan, who's top throat, he could probably look at me and that I'm probably a workshop on my own. But like you know, and again, I said it before, we're blessed to have Nathan here. And I think that some people might be intimidated by that, mate. I think, we've had it before, though, people are going to ask, well, why can't we do that ourselves? So they feel a little bit insecure. There's other RDOs out there, and as this develops, I'm sure we give them shout outs. Who are top draw, have you in a flash, get a budget for, or maybe get a sponsor for the budget or whatever, that will see how good you are at what you do and the benefit you give to referees on and off the field of the play. But always make sure that there's going to be people out there that don't want to use you, not because they don't care about mental health. They're scared of how they look. They haven't done it, and it's not their idea. That's what we're going to come up against.
I mean, I've always tried to frame it as, this is a partnership. This is me offering a service, so you don't have to think about it. I'll come and do it for you, And I think that's the way that I wanted to be. It's a positive thing, and to be honest, I don't really. If that is the viewpoint of some of them that you've just described there, Martin, I don't want them to feel that way. I want them just to say, look, I'm coming here. I'm offering the services. We can work together, and I'm gonna give you an opportunity to basically not need to think about that, because I'll deal with it for you, and I'll bring my expertise and everything I've learned. I'll put it all into it, and all my experience as a referee, and we can do this for the referees, and it's something that you've taken care of because you've outsourced it, and it's not a problem, and that's what. And I personally think that. They would, for them to be giving the referees that opportunity and those services is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And I think that it's something that really they should be applauded for, whether it's me or whether it's someone else, as long as they are looking after their people, it's absolutely a really, really positive thing. And I don't think it could ever reflect badly on them. And whilst I can understand that, I can sort of understand their perspective on it. I just think that giving referees any help, technical or non-technical, doesn't matter, if you are giving referee support and you are outsourcing and bringing something extra in that you maybe couldn't supply yourself, you haven't got the time or whatever means, it can be nothing but a wonderful thing. And of course, Martin and Ant, you both know, having been involved with multiple different counties, that some counties, the majority of counties have got reasonably the same lot. Obviously, I know some have got more referees and some smaller counties and so on and so forth. But it's the way that they use these resources and the way that they decide to partner with people and make these relationships. And that's why some referees have a better experience than other referees, because of the county they're affiliated to. And usually that's I'd say probably maybe 8, 9 times out of 10, that's your birthright. Where you're brought up is where and it's what experience you get because of the county that you come from.
Yeah,
fair play, mate. Fair play.
Well, from mental health, I want to talk about physical health, because I've not been in the gym for 4 months. And today I actually went into the gym, did 25 minutes of cardio, smashed the weights, boom. But I've heard a rumor, right, that the top refs, the PGMO match officials, have been banned from gyms. Nathan, what have you heard about that? Because that is kind of where the rumor I've heard came from your direction.
Well, I wouldn't say that I know anything about it, but certainly it's something that I might have seen a little bit of. Yeah, I think that it's an interesting one and perfectly understandable in terms of the fact that I don't know who's shouldered the burden when it comes to the cost of all these tests that the PGMOL officials have had to do over the past probably 6-8 weeks now. And I can understand it from that perspective. I think it makes things a little bit more difficult. And as far as I'm aware, maybe they haven't been given access to equipment that would normally find at the gyms that they would normally use in regular season time. But yes, I think that I can understand why such a directive would be made in terms of the interests of health and safety, but clearly it's going to make it more difficult. And I'm sure that when the fitness tests come round, we'll see sort of how people the way that the land lies with regard to fitness and condition.
Well, I think the people I know do on the PGMOL or have been on the Premier League, they've all had really, really good physical regimes of some sort, and most of the ones I know don't really use a gym. Most of them I know. I think some of them do. I don't know why I've always wondered why the PGMOL haven't got some deal with a gym where they get half price gym membership or something, and then they promote them on the training kit or do something. I don't know why the PGMOL has never gone down there. I'll probably just give them an income stream there without thinking about it. But I don't know why they haven't done something with that, then that they can advocate that gym and all the benefits that going to a gym can have. But most of them get out on the road, get out on the park too. But when I was on, I used to do a bleed test in a car park. We used to go down to a car park at a leisure centre down here, and we all used to line up and mark out the white lines on the car park and do the bleed test. It used to be a white crack, rain, as long as it wasn't too slippy, we'd do it. And I think I could understand them saying why they would be banned from gyms, because that might break any form of COVID bubble you've got, particularly with the lads. I would dare say that's probably one of them. But I think if there was anyone, going back to the decisions when you said there'd be a reason for releasing the COVID advice late for the FA, I would say there'll be a reason for this, if that is right, not going to the gym, and they'll validate it. I wrote to Mike Riley, he's got back and he's always open and honest and always had a straight answer. I think there'll be a legitimate reason that maybe we just don't know what goes on in that bubble. Yeah. Remember, we said at the beginning, after being COVID tested, the player got back and said, well, no, we haven't. We don't need to COVID test them yet. When it comes to doing games, and we know when games are restarting, then we'll COVID test them and we'll keep COVID testing them.
Yeah.
We even did it in fairness to the FA. Even the playoffs are the National League North, South and Premier, all the referees were COVID tested.
Yeah.
They all got sent 2 for the semis, and then the lads for the final or got COVID tested too. So from that side of it, I think they've been great, the FA, on that. But I would say it doesn't, when it's framed that way, so, you know, they've been told not to go to a gym. I don't think it sounds too good, but I'm sure that's got something to do with the bubble up there in there, mate.
I wonder where else they're banned from as well then. Like, don't go Mackey's, don't go KFC, don't go the gym.
Well, I think that there's probably the dietary reasons for that as well.
Well, you'll take the money for the FA Cup off McDonald's and the charity.
Exactly, yeah. But they won't. They could be sponsored by gyms like
McDonald's.
Yeah, David Lloyd's, banner sign all over them. But just fast food. But then
I think, in all fairness, they've got a social conscience too, haven't they? And you know, at the end of the day, if they'd been, as Martin said, if they'd been testing them from day one when they didn't have any fixtures back in, then not only are they costing money to get the tests, but also they're taking tests away from, you know, frontline workers and people like that who really, really did need them at that particular time. So I think that in terms of all of this, there's got to be a really wonderful social conscience. And I think that the PGMOL, the Premier League, the EFL, FA, everybody who's been involved in that professional and semi-professional level that we've seen the resumption of fixtures in the past 6 to 8 weeks, I think they've all been absolutely fantastic, really, with what they've done and all the effort that's gone in to creating that, the 100 metres clearance around all the grounds and things like that. All the effort that's gone into that, all the effort that's gone into making everything safe. You know, there's been a lot of grounds in Goodison Park. They were coming from 2 different directions, dressing room wise, where they, you know, in all the grounds where they could do that. I think it's been absolutely fantastic. And because, like we said, you know, when we were talking about the guidance from the FA for grassroots officials, none of this is easy. You know, this is the first time that everybody's dealt with everything, and this is not easy. So I think that everybody involved, to use a Steve Bruce term, for all concerned, I've got to congratulate them.
Yeah, fair shout, mate. I don't think you can argue with that, but it's I think we could all be guilty, can't we, of working around catchphrase. What did he call it? Or they send messages out. What is it? Dog whistle politics, isn't it? Where you say dog whistle politics is show me age here. You say something that you don't really hear. Trump's really good at it. He won't say it, but what he doesn't say is the dog whistle politics, where you think, oh. So next time when we come back on, Google dog whistle
politics.
And I think we'll all be guilty of doing that, picking out what we want from it to pick on. But yeah, let's give the FA benefits with regards to that difficult situation to deal with. The document seems good enough. I know we've took the mickey out of it a little bit, but difficult situation. But sometimes the straws that break camels' back, and particularly putting us out so late, is just wound me up a little bit.
I just think that what we've got to hope for is, like I said, that, you know, the powers that be are open-minded to looking at how it goes over the first couple of weeks, where there's friendlies being played and things like that, and being open to making amendments and maybe taking away things that are not possible and that are difficult, and then adding things that referees are encountering that are potential issues and things like that. And as long as we're fairly flexible, you know, I think generally if you look in society at the moment, you can see that in some places they've put local lockdowns on and they've pulled that lockdown back to be a bit tighter with the restrictions to make sure that, you know, everybody's safe. And I think that you would hope that with the policy around this, that there will be some flexibility too, where, you know, they might turn around and say, actually, this is something that is going fine. We can maybe discard that. That's not so much of an issue, but we're finding a new issue here. A lot of referees are reporting this to be an issue, so we want to get this involved. And, you know, potentially could be what you described just there, where we're talking about the, you know, wiping the handle every time the change hands. Something like that could be added to the guidance, because referees are saying, well, I'm a bit concerned about that, or whatever it might be. So,
well, the important part of having a living document with that is to make sure that it gets communicated every time it's changed. Yeah. And what we haven't seen is an efficient way of getting that out.
Yeah. Well, everybody's on email, aren't they? And so potentially, as long as everybody, you know, who subscribes to those emails gets them, there shouldn't be an issue. Usually, if you're going to be an active match official, you get appointments through emails, you get everything through emails. You should be switched on to your emails, really, if you're a dedicated match official.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But the email has to be sent in the first place, is kind of what I'm getting at there. Yeah. The method, there is a very efficient method of getting that information out. The information just needs to be put out in the first place.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there.
And social media is really, really good like that as well. The FA referees department has got a social media on Twitter. Was quite active. He put stuff out. They got an FA spokesman's got one. He put all the discipline out there for. They could have done what I done. They still haven't done it. Just checked. They could have done that. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm just not buying that they could have done it. I when they said it's only going to be sent, and you might have noticed me. I know those who aren't on radio that I've been clicking in and out of stuff while I've been doing it, and I hope it hasn't come across as rude because I've been reading some of the comments on the Facebook page when I've put that out there about that document, and people are saying, "Oh, I can't click on it. They don't know how to use a PDF on our website. When you click on a document, it changes pages." So people are panicking, saying, "No, can we have all the?" So some people are putting all the 5 pages up now on our web page. So those sorts of problems would have been solved if the FA just said, "Here's the link. Have a read of it. Get on it."
Yeah.
Happens, and I just don't understand it. I just don't understand it. People just why they haven't just got that out weeks ago. Really, and then like you said about, what I brought up about, washing the linesman's flag when they change lineouts, which you probably get more often in pre-season games than any other game because they'll have like loads of people to try and out, left, right, and centre. I'll go do the line for 10 minutes and then someone else will come on. That's going to get changed hands an awful lot of times. That.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And there's no guidance on it. It just says, I just looked. It just says before and after the game. Nothing about using it. You could have 5 different people use that, and the referee's got to grab that and take that home. It's those sorts of things where if they give us enough time to get back to them, and they could have go, no problems at all. Let's be honest, the FA aren't very good at saying we got things wrong. Just don't do it, is it? So that's the problem. That's the problem. And I think that's what that meeting would have been like on Monday. But that's a friendly audience, didn't it, with the RDOs? Or the RDO, okay, I'll get back to you. Or stays in house, no problem. Now it's come out. Obviously, people aren't thinking of stuff like that. Wipe the ball. Have 10 balls at a game. Some of those football clubs can't afford to have 5 or 6 balls.
It's true.
Do you know what I mean? And then what you wipe it with? Who monitors that? It's
We've got these balls now that are all slippy with fucking hand sanitizer and whatnot. So you're getting it back on the pitch and someone heads it. They've got alcohol in their eye.
And you know what? And then you're going to think, like, trust me, I'm in the game. I'm in the sports equipment game. Been in it for many years. Some stuff will damage a ball. Some of them has got TP,
dry out. Yeah.
You've got like soft touch balls, interesting fact. Soft touch balls, those like spongy balls you see people using now. They were brought in because the boots are so thin. When you kick a ball with the old non-TPU, they wouldn't have it at your foot.
Yeah.
So they sort of put the cushioning on the ball, do you know what I mean? And it dries a bit better and it's manufactured a bit better. But these TPU balls, if you wipe something on that, it could completely damage that ball. Someone's got a colour on it or whatever. I'm not saying it's not hard. I'm not saying that. Just give us enough time to analyse what you are sticking out.
I think that, they've obviously used a lot of equipment, and one of the things is sanitizer for the balls at the top level. So there's absolutely no problem, in my opinion. I don't know what you guys think about this. In my opinion, there's absolutely no problem saying, by the way, on the Premier League and on the Championship, we've used this for cleaning the balls. So if that's what you want to go out and get, then we know that works. I think that just stuff like that could be really helpful for referees if they need to have any sort of cleaning materials in their bags that they need to add to their bags.
The first point on that, Nate, is the balls they use in the Premier League and the Football League, Mitre, Nike. The Nike ball on the Premier League is part of the kit deal. All tied in lovely, completely different ball, probably 80, 90 quid retail. You're not going to get a grassroots football team getting that. You're going to get a cheaper one. They're going to get a £20 maximum one. The Football League one is Mitre, brilliant ball. The new Mitre Superflex, whatever they called it. Delta, I think they brought the Delta back actually. The Mitre Delta. You can probably throw dynamite at that and it wouldn't happen. Some of the balls that these grassroots teams are going to have, some of the youth ones, they're probably £8 a ball. Some of the best matches now, they're going to damage. If you put alcohol on them, trust they're going to damage. So I just see the scenario of a referee going, clean the ball, put alcohol on, all of a sudden all the colour gets smudged or whatever. It's just, I know that sounds ridiculous, but I need people to know that us as a charity, and I'm sure us as a team of 3, are conscious that referees should have had more time to analyse this.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because obviously one of the first things that I think about actually when I'm just listening to you talk there is the fact that what's one of the first things you do before the game starts? You check the pressure of the ball.
The ball, yeah.
Yeah.
And it says in that document, don't touch the ball. If you do, you've got to be with your feet.
Exactly. So how are you going to know whether the ball's flat or not? And then they're going to turn and they're going to go, ref, the ball's flat. And you're going to say, well, sorry, lads, I couldn't check it.
Yeah. And do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's things like we're not saying the FA aren't in a difficult position. We're not sympathising with them 100%. This should have been done at least a week ago so we could have these conversations and get it right. But the level 7 that's going out there to do is a little game that I've just been looking forward to for months. It's going to be a lovely weekend, stunning weekend, but it's absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
Make it easy for them to feel comfortable, to enjoy their game and come back to the game. That's a better game. Yeah, I'm moaning again, I'm sorry.
No, I think that we're raising legitimate points because, to be honest, Martin, I wouldn't have any problem at all in saying that one or two officials, because we are so used to doing games, we're just going to do something that we shouldn't do. Not deliberately, not to break any rules. For example, it's an instinctive thing that you would pick up the ball and check the pressure. So you're going to have to have a word with yourself to say, actually, I've got to remember I can't do that. And it's just stuff like that if you're reading the guidance and you've got that little bit extra within you can do it.
And I'll be a bit mischievous again because I like being mischievous.
Oh dear.
Probably noticed. What a great time to do rock, paper, scissors to decide. Look at Nathan's face. Oh my God, he's shaking his head at me. Come on, we did the rock, paper, scissors. Let me do it. Perfect.
That's a can of worms that you've just gone.
And I've done like that. You know what I mean? Don't have a coin. Don't worry about that. Let's bring in FIFA. Yeah, IFAB are going to do an amendment to Law 5, where in the cases where there is a worry about COVID, it is acceptable to use rock, paper, scissors.
No comment, Your Honour.
And it turns out that coloured whistles actually transmit COVID less as well, so they've gone and come in across the board as well.
Wearing coloured boots next.
You better not, Ant.
I might.
You're a naughty boy.
If it's a friendly and then there's no one watching, I might stick on some funky boots with my funky whistle.
I don't know if you're both going out this weekend or not. I hope I'm not.
I'm not. I've got my mum's birthday. She's 60. Happy birthday, Mum. Yeah.
Happy birthday, man. Have you got one, Nate? Are you going out for the game?
I haven't got a game. My first game's next Saturday on the 8th.
Is it? Well, we don't talk to you before. Have a safe game. Most of all, enjoy it. And let's see what conversations we can have once we've started doing some games. And I've gone to watch a couple of coaching. There's even advice in that document about, coaches going and what happens there.
That's because there's no spectators, is there? So I presume that they count the coach as a spectator potentially.
And observers, what happens there is. So there's a lot of things that I think next time we'll talk, we'll have it. But I'd like to wrap up now, if that's all right, so.
It's all good, mate.
Thanks for another great blog. I hope the people who listen and watch get something out of it. Don't be scared to contact any of us, Nate at the third team, Sammy at the referees forum, and us at refsupport.co.uk. And hopefully we'll catch up again soon.
Definitely, yeah.
Excellent stuff. Thanks very much for watching. See you on the next episode.